Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here. Today I have a video about the current bans, or the recent ban that we just had in Pokemon Sword and Shield UU. Your boy got some more BL Knights to work with Blunder. I do want to say though that I'm no longer on the UU Council. I decided that, especially after this one, when they were talking about voting for this, I was like, oh, man, I really haven't played as much UU like I did like a month ago or so. So I don't really want to vote on these things and either abstain or have my vote be swayed based on the popular opinion. So I decided to I mean, they wrote it here, but I stepped down from the UU Council. Maybe I'll join them later again, but for now I'm no longer on UU Council, so my vote does not count. But anyway, Diggersby, Durant, and Weavile have been banned from Pokemon Sword and Shield UU, and it was pretty unanimous right here. In fact, the only two do not bans on Weavile were from Hog, one of the UU tier leaders, as well as Pride right here. But I don't know why I said Pride instead of Viva. But anyway, let's read the reasoning for their bans, and then I'll go through a little bit of this and then give my thoughts in general as well. But a lot of these thoughts are just made based on me using the Pokemon prior, not current UU. But for Diggersby, with the release of Pokemon Home, Diggersby regains access to one of its best offensive moves, Knockoff. Diggersby was already a menace to the tier with multiple great sets, all of which were amplified thanks to Knockoff. Between Swords Dance, Scarf, and Choice Band, it is really quite crazy how good and potent Diggersby is. Its sheer power and move pool make it too much to reasonably handle in this metagame. Diggersby was unanimously banned amongst all members of the council. Now we have Durant. Durant has slowly been inching itself up to the top of the metagame. There's no doubt to anyone who actively plays that Durant is absolutely horrifying to face off against. Its stats, typing, ability, and move pool all push it over the edge. Priority first impression hits incredibly hard, and its other moves make it extremely difficult to beat. While it did get Home Claws through Home, it really shines by coming in and immediately wreaking havoc. Durant has quite clearly made its case for the star of UU ever since the second round of bans, as it's quite simply too potent of an offensive threat. Durant was an easy ban from all members of the council. And last but not least, we have Weavile, probably the biggest winner of the three in terms of what Home did for it. Weavile regained its best stab move, Knockoff. Firing off stab Knockoff with its speed tier coupled with Ice Crash, its speed, and its item of choice, Life Orb, Boots, or Ban, it really does a number to the metagame. It is most certainly not as potent as the aforementioned two ban Pokemon, but the biggest thing is Weavile's speed tier along with its move pool. Boots Swords Dance becomes incredibly troublesome to take on, as not even Stealth Rock can wear it down, which is, well, we'll keep reading in a sec, but basically, rocks are big when it came to Weavile as well, because a lot of bulkier, slower teams, which do not really want to take hits from Weavile, unless you're like Avalugg, for instance, even then doesn't appreciate, what is it, low kick? Because obviously Weezing doesn't appreciate multi-ice crash, Umbreon doesn't like taking multi-ice crash, because they run Spidef and whatnot. But yeah, like not being able to, that's if it banned it, not being able to wear down Swords Dance Weavile sets because of heavy duty boots is crazy. Because of its high speed tier, again, it's really hard to revenge kill unless you're running a Scarfer of your own or priority. Ultimately, Weavile was simply deemed to be overbearing, although not as clear cut as the previous two. Alright, so I want to go a little bit into the initial one, because the initial one kind of went a little bit more, but this is what Hog put. Diggersby was, this is when they talked about, they were voting on this, but Diggersby was always a major threat even pre-home, with its excellent Scarf set that retains much of its wall breaking ability while bypassing its low speed, and a powerful Swords Dance set that really began to gain traction in the later days of the pre-home meta. However, it wasn't until home release that we saw its full potential thanks to the release of Knockoff. With Knockoff, it no longer struggles with the 4 move slot syndrome, as normal ground plus dark hits the entire tier for good damage. There simply are no defensive counters for Diggersby, barring defensive Avalugg in the current metagame, and even Avalugg finds itself to a KO by choice band sets once it gets knocked off, so it can't really deal with the sets after Stealth Rock are up and Heavy Duty Boots is knocked off. Its low speed and below average defense gives it some offensive counterplay, but with a choice Scarf or strong priority and a boosted quick attack, it can easily power through offensive teams as well, and that's a big thing as well. So they're saying that with a choice Scarf, Diggersby it was very good versus offense, right? Because offense is obviously more frail, and offense typically depends on attacking and not necessarily taking hits, right? So that's why Choice Scarf helps deal with that. Whereas Choice Band and Swords Dance can help deal with the bulkier walls in the tier. Something, for instance, like Weezing, Galarian Weezing, though it is immune to the Earthquake, and doesn't really care too much for Body Slam for the most part. I mean, if it's banded, it will hurt. A Swords Dance Facade set can just easily break through that and more defensive counterplay, especially if it gets burnt in ways like that. And then Facade just becomes incredibly powerful, even being able to deal with unaware Pokemon too, just because it's so strong. It's just that strong. Durant was an interesting one. I did think that first impression was incredible. It's actually funny because Durant typically finds itself banned from RU, and now it's finally banned from UU. Another BL Knight. First impression was obviously strong. They actually compare it here to CB First Impression deals almost as much damage as +2 extreme speed from Adamant RC Scott. Backed by powerful attacks capable of breaking through even the sturdiest of walls, defensive counterplay to Choice Band Durant is often limited to physically defensive Hippowdon, which must stay perfectly healthy, as CB Ironhead does 40% minimum to max Hippowdon. So max defensive Hippowdon takes 40% min from Ironhead, not to mention that obviously the hazards, which is why they say it has to stay healthy, and also the fact of the flinch chance. I think Durant's biggest thing that holds it back is that every single one of its attacks has only 80% accuracy. But, I mean, as we can see, that did not stop Dracozolt, and it looks like it did not stop Durant either. What do you guys think about that in terms of Durant? Many people have expressed that they feel Durant represents a particularly unhealthy presence in the tier, with games hinging entirely on whether or not hustle hits. And that's really similar to the Dracozolt ban that they said as well. I do think, though, that Durant, one of the big things about Durant is being part Steel type, and obviously a bug too, but Steel type is incredible on an offensive Pokemon, especially when you pack that with coverage like Fighting, because Super Power is incredibly strong and that can break through Mons that would otherwise deal with Steel type, Steelix, Pharaoh Seed, basically things like that, defensive Steel types like that. Ironhead lets you bypass defensive fairies like Galarian Weezing. Obviously, First Impression is great versus offense too, like a +2 Poltergeist, for instance, that usually survives on its Focus Sash or anything like that. Even despite resisting it, will go down to it. And other offensive threats like opposing Diggersby. And yeah, again, I understand what they're saying, that games hinging entirely on whether or not hustle hits. So it was interesting that they voted unanimously ban, but obviously understandable. I do think, like, back to Diggersby, I don't know, it's tough. Now with knockoff, obviously it doesn't have any resistances, and there's like the counterplay to it would be, you know, before having your item leftovers and whatnot and being able to take hits, but with knockoff you don't mind that, and that means that even like something like Avalon, that's a huge thing that Diggersby got, because now it can actually provide its own wall break. Like, it was already a great wall breaker, but now it can provide even an easier wall breaking for itself. Because if it knocks off, Avalon would come in on Diggersby, right? Because it could take Choice Band Earthquakes. I can just show you guys the damage calc if you want, make it a little bit easier on me as well. But let's go Choice Band, whatever. So Choice Band, obviously 232 attack is nothing but huge power. You know, doubles it. That's why it's. You've got somebody new looking at it like, why is Diggersby banned? That mon has no attack. It couldn't even beat the Talonflame on, like, you know, route whatever, Fletchling whatever. Avalon. Let's just say max just to do it. So you see with max return does not exist, so that's not an option. You either go Mega Kick or you go Body Slam Facade. Well, Mega Kick actually had a silent chance to 2KO, which is pretty nice, but basically Earthquake was never 2KOing Avalon because the heavy duty boots was never taking rocks. Body Slam, same thing, though you could get the para, but you pack that with knockoff, and now Avalon is taking Stealth Rock damage, right? So it's taking Stealth Rock damage, which leaves it at 75%. The minimum roll you can get with 2 Earthquakes is 72%. So, because, you know, it's 36 plus 36. And basically most rolls with Earthquake, and of course, never any roll with Body Slam, but most rolls with Earthquake then become possible to 2 KO. So that's like the most defensive Pokemon in the tier. Let's look at Weezing real quick too. Another really defensive mon that is immune to Earthquake due to its Levitate ability. So if you look at Impish, Weezing was 2 KO'd by Choice Band Body Slam flat. Like, let's put leftovers. Actually, let's put Black Sludge. They're the same thing, but it's my favorite item, so I don't know why Black Sludge is my favorite item. I always say this, but I feel like it's so cool that poison types have their own leftovers. They're not even my favorite type. So this is a 92% chance to 2 KO after Black Sludge recovery with Body Slam. Just to show you that that's another defensive wall. We'll go Umbreon in the tier, though they are typically specially defensive. So obviously this doesn't help too much, but as you can see, easily 2 KO'd. Pikamuku. Pikamuku was running special defensive for a while. I don't know if it's still running special defensive, considering there's no Z moves. Excuse me. There's no Dynamax. There's no Salazzle. But as you can see, Pikamuku also gets blown away, and even physically defensive gets blown away as well. I mean, I don't even have to calc that to know, but I'm just showing that for people that will show calcs and stuff. Easily to a KO. So, and last but not least, we have defensive Hiradon, which also finds itself 41% chance to a KO after leftovers recovery. But let's put the ever-present Stealth Rock. 92% chance to a KO after Stealth Rock and leftovers recovery. So just show you guys like Diggersby's wall breaking potential. They were not just talking, you know, just talk. But that's not even the set they're also mentioning. They're also mentioning Choice Scarf. So let's say Choice Scarf and let's say Noivern. I'm going to put Choice Scarf on Noivern just because, man. But it allows it to revenge kill Noivern that takes damage. And, like, I mean, Noivern's going to be taking hits from bug types, for instance, Goliathpod, Durant, of course, in the tier. So if Noivern takes a first impression or something, it goes down. And obviously giving it the... obviously giving it the ability to also have knockoff now, which is big. Mons like Bronzong can't come in, which would otherwise resist the Earthquake as well, or be immune to Earthquake due to Levitate, and also resist the normal type attack. So, I mean, it makes sense that they're saying this Mon was a wall breaker, because it is. And because UU also at times leads to more defensive builds. Like you'll see Weezing Milotic plus whatever, or Weezing Noivern plus whatever, right? And then you throw in your Durant, you throw in the Blade. It doesn't matter. Obviously, the Blade gets put away. Same thing with Durant. Except though obviously all your moves have 80% accuracy, so there's a chance that you're not hitting the majority of one. I do want to know your thoughts on the Durant one. I do think the Durant and Diggersby are a little bit easier to kind of say than, like, let's say Weavile, for instance, just because Durant and Diggersby are immediately super strong, whereas Weavile, though it is good with Choice Band and Knockoff, because Knockoff is very good, I don't think it's as spammable in UU between the Weezing, bulky water, steel, like core, like that, like a core Pokemon like that. But when you have to, if a Weezing getting knocked off, meaning Diggersby knocks it out, like when you have these three giant threats in the tier, I think this one gets a lot better. And I do think that it's one of its more, again, its most reliable set is the Boot Swords Dance, which I agree with completely. Even when I found myself playing UU, before this Pokemon even got knockoff, Boots Swords Dance was really scary when I was using Balance. Just because, again, a lot of the squads that I use relied on Stealth Rock to be able to deal with this offensive threat, because my Pokemon are a little bit weaker. Like, Weavile has decent Speed F, so, like, even Scald isn't a 2-hit KO from Milotic, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, I'd run Speed F Milotic, because that'd be my Gengar check back in the day. Of course, these mons are all banned. I'm just telling you guys from my experience. I'd run Speed F Milotic because that'd be my Gengar check, my Noivern check, and whatnot. And obviously, that doesn't appreciate knockoffs from Weavile, too. And even Avalugg, if Weavile knocks it off, which is most likely to, or Weezing, if Weavile knocks it off, which again it's most likely to, considering those are very easy Weavile switch-ins, that's going to provide support for the other offensive threats like Durant, or not even Durant or like Diggersby, but just other physical offensive threats like fighting types in the tier, or the Blade as well, or things like that. So I do get that it's a lot more reliable at doing Boots SC because it just forces a lot of switches, and Knockoff is very strong. I don't think it's as clear-cut, strong, or offensively strong as the other two, of course, because it just isn't. It doesn't have the, it just doesn't have that attack stat. But yeah, I don't know. Not sure if I'm still like on the fence about the Weavile ban itself, but obviously I would have been outvoted if I did vote. I probably would have put Do Not Ban as well. So I probably would have been on the side of Hog as well as Viva. But we have another thing as well. We're going to talk about the rants that I've been spamming since UU came out. So we'll talk about the Dirty Red. Out of the three main sets, Choice Band, Life or 4 attacks, and Home Claws, I found the best to be Life or 4 attacks. First impression is such a great new addition to Durant's move pool, allowing it to come in and force out mons that even faster than it, or Helios that speed ties with it. The only fast thing that I don't outright die to first impression for 100% are Noivern, Braviary, Scarf Channeler, and either Poltergeist set at +2, and that's only if Poltergeist is at full. Again, as the Dirty Red said, these Pokemon have to be at 100%. With that said, I don't think the power gain from ban is quite worth it. worth it for first impression compared to Life Orb. Life Orb still nets the OHKOs on relevant threats such as Diggersby and Flygon, while not requiring you to switch out if you switch in to resist or you overpredict on a sack. The only thing you lose the OHKO on going by Life Orb or Ban is Hacktress, who if any chip or hazard damage will die too. For bulky guys, Ban does have the benefit of stinging quite a bit harder and netting even the OHKO on fully physically defensive Wheezing, but Life Orb has a chance of netting the 2 KO from first impression Super Power Milotic, if that's their physical tank, and neither Life Orb or Ban can get the 2 KO on a Powdon, so it's just slack off until you miss. Of course, though, that's saying that you don't get the flinch, but you can. As for Home Claws, the Ban's calcs are relevant, but you lose first impression, which I think is huge, since you lose the only way to pressure and kill it's faster than you. And that's a big thing about Durant. The first impression thing just gave it such a great attack versus offense, anything faster as well. All Durant sets are really weak to something faster coming in that can revenge it, so trying to turn him into a setup sleeper and losing, and albeit one turn priority move, hurts more than it helps, even if it patches up Hustle. We actually have some calcs here too, which is really nice. So Durant's first impression versus Diggersby, 100%. First impression with Flygon, 100%. 94 to 11 on that. Defensive Milotic takes 53 to 63 from first impression, and also takes 47 to 56. So has a chance to KO. KOs it rocks. Glare and Weezing takes 84 to 101. Ironhead versus Diggersby, I don't know why we're putting that. That's Choice Band Ironhead calcs and whatnot. And then Choice Band Ironhead calcs versus Powdon, so 40 to 47%. And then extras are versus Milotic. So, I mean, I already knew that about Durant, but that's a big thing, man. Giving it just a hit and a way to deal with the faster Pokemon that would otherwise force it out. And even, like, again, these Pokemon that they mentioned have to be at literally 100% to take it on. Even Braviary, I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't you do around, like 50% to Braviary or something really close? Hey. Yeah. You do about 50%. So like even like offensive checks like that, man. And Noivern, of course Noivern doesn't usually take Stealth Rock damage. Because they can run heavy duty boots, but even Noivern takes like 50%. So that's just saying, like, this Pokemon hit incredibly hard, and even like faster Pokemon that would try and deal with it. I'm sure if I looked at Chandelure, despite its resistances, yeah, it's still taking about a third, which is nice. And Poltergeist out taking like 1,000,000. Man. Yeah, that's so much damage. God. But of course, in case of Poltergeist, you're usually revenge killing it because they have to Shell Smash, they have a Soul Sash and whatnot, and you revenge kill after. But I think it's really hard to argue against Durant. And the biggest argument would be, well, Durant misses, 20% of its moves. But even then, like, the reward, and that's why, like, part of the reason they suspected it is because they felt that a lot of games came down to whether it hit or missed its moves. But, yep, the voting was, like I said, unanimous. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I'll have another video up today, maybe 2, and then I'll have a Patreon video as well going up. I'm currently working, the reason that this isn't going to be rendered and whatnot, that's why I'm just recording it with music. I'm currently working on my this week and my next week's videos because I'm on vacation from March 1st to March 7th. I'm going to Florida, Universal Studios. And I need to do 2 weeks of videos in 1 week. I got to do 3 draft league games as well because APA starts as well, and then I gotta do my WB week 7 and the final week 8 this week as well. So I got a lot going on. So bear with me this week. Obviously, I appreciate y'all. I do my best to get as many videos done as possible, and just enjoy my vacation when it happens. But yeah, follow me on Twitch. That link is down below. I will see you guys next time. Thank you everybody for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these 3 Pokemon, and that'll be it. Goodbye, my friends.